What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to have sick defense in chess just like a professional boxer. Before we get into that, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more great chess videos. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so the idea here is you want to defend with tempo. That's the key to success. So whenever things are bad, whenever you're panicking, try to defend with tempo. So we're going to start off with some pretty easy examples and then definitely ramp it up where it's going to be way more important. So let's take this position for example. So our threat here is queen h7 or queen h8 checkmate. Obviously that would be great. But right now we're in check. So here we do have the option of moving the king and then we can try to checkmate him. But now we can try to run away with like f6, and if check, he's going to run this way. Now white is still probably winning here, but what else can white do? So if you want to pause here and find out for yourself, now is the time. But the answer here is we're going to go bishop e3, because bishop e3 attacks the queen and we still threaten checkmate. So for example here, if he went f6, we would just take the queen. And then we can still go back to this attack, but now we're up a queen. So obviously here, white is winning. And remember, he can't move the queen away because then we have checkmate. So a super easy example started up. But you're going to see it ramp up, and we got 9 more examples, and it's going to get pretty fun.
But he's not opening up so that you might land a big shot on him. He's so much under control. Look at the way he makes out. He's making him look like an amateur.
All right, so example 2 is going to be a little bit more important. So right now, this bishop is under attack. So if we move away, obviously, there's just checkmate on g2. So we don't want to get checkmated. Now, we could go g3, but now he can go king takes bishop, and then we don't have our piece advantage. So here, once again, we got to defend with tempo. So if you want, you can pause here, and I'm going to go over the answer. So what we want to do here is go f3. So we're defending this checkmate, but we're also attacking the bishop. So now if the bishop moves away, we have time to save our bishop, and then we're going to be up a piece. So this is the next example of defending with tempo.
Canelo comes in on him, jab, 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 miss, 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 miss with the right hand. Here he is again, miss, 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 miss. Oh, misses. He has to gamble. He's got to gamble, Davey. He's got to get inside, even though he's lining it up.
All right, so example number 3. So this one is a little bit more tricky. So here, what you want to do first is break down what's happening. So there's 2 major threats for white. The first one is the queen on a6. The next one is the bishop on g4. Now we don't have any checks. So when you're defending with tempo, you want to look for checks and you want to look for attacks. So here we have no reasonable checks, and the best place to start is we're going to have to move this queen because this bishop can't give a check, and this is a higher value piece. Now we don't want to lose material, so we're going to defend with tempo. So we're going to move this queen somewhere where it can attack something. So once again, if you want to pause the video here. Now the move here for black is queen to a5. So this is 1. So now you're attacking the rook. So now he doesn't have time to take the bishop because you're attacking the rook. And if the rook moves away, for example, now our bishop is free to do whatever it wants. Now the more passive version of this is queen c8, protecting the bishop, but now you're moving backwards. And now he has time to even take this pawn, for example. But if you keep attacking him, then he's not going to have time. So this is the next example of defending with tempo.
He has to throw the technique idea to the window and just lower his shoulders and go after Mayweather. Whatever he pays, so what?
All right, so now we get to our next example, number 4. So this is one where it matters a lot. If you don't defend with tempo here, you're actually going to lose, or at least be on the worst side of a draw. So we're going to start with the action once again. So we have this pin of this rook, queen, and king, or what I call a line of fire. Now, we can't move this queen. If we move the king, he takes. We can't block it. We can't block or anything. So now we got to think, how do we defend with tempo? We got to move and attack. So here you can pause your videos. And the way to defend with tempo here is we're going to go rook takes f7 check. So we're going to attack somewhere else. Because now if he goes king takes rook, we can take his rook, and now we have a very easy endgame. Also, in the process of not dying, we ended up winning a pawn. That's how you can move, and then you can slip and counter, and you can actually hit them while defending. So this is example 4. The next couple are going to be a little bit more spicy.
Nobody has pinpoint accuracy against the defensive tactics of Floyd Mayweather in the red trunks. He's standing straight up right now, and Carlos still can't get to him.
All right, so this is example number 5. So this one I like because it's very subtle. So it's kind of sneaky. So right now his threat, once again, we always start with what is his threat? This rook on g3. So he's trying to take this rook. Now, we could defend it with queen f3. We could sacrifice the rook for the knight, or we could even take. But we have a very subtle move and a subtle defense. So if you want to pause, now's the time. Okay, so the way to defend with tempo here is we're going to go queen to e1. So the reason why this is defending with tempo is if this knight moves, because remember, we're attacking this knight. If he moves to h6, we set up a line of fire. And now we can go rook takes bishop check. He can't take our queen because he's in check, of course. And after king takes rook, we're just going to take the queen. And once again, we defended, but now we hit him with an overhand right. Now he's on skates. Without the queen, he's going to be in big trouble. So remember, defend, but also have a threat. And if he doesn't do anything, we're just going to take the knight, or go knight f3 first, and then take the knight, and we're up material. So this is example number 5 of defending with tempo. Alright, so now number 6. So here the big problem, and this is going to be a lifesaver, is right now our queen is pinned. So this is like every single example, but we keep getting lines of fire and then defending with tempo. So we can't move our queen, can't move our king, we don't really have any checks, so how do we save our queen? So now, if you want to pause and try to figure it out, now is the time. So the idea here is, yes, we are pinned, but his king is over here on its own diagonal. So to save our queen, what we can do is go bishop to b2. Because now we attack this bishop, and now he's also pinned to the king. So this bishop does not have time to take the queen, because then the king will die. So here they pretty much have to take. Rook takes, we got out, and here if you count the material, we're up a piece. He's got 2 pawns for it, but we're up a piece, which is way better than being down a queen. So this is the next example of how to defend with tempo.
The way he rolls with punches. Look at the way he makes them miss. I mean, 3, 4.
Alright, so example number 7. This one is a cool one, a subtle one, and there's multiple answers. So this one, you have to do some positional analysis too. So the problem here right now is this pawn is forking this bishop and this knight. Now remember, if we move away, we're going to lose one of these pieces. Now this bishop can't really move anywhere to attack anything, and this knight kind of can. There's actually a lot of nuance to this position. So the first thing that we're going to look at is, how do we deal with this? Can we attack this pawn? Remember, this queen and pawn are in a line of fire. So if you want to try to figure this out right now, pause the video, boom, and let me go over kind of the ideas here. Now the first one is we can go rook d8. The idea here is now we can't take because the rook is pinning the queen. Once again, we have a line of fire. Now the reason this one isn't as strong is here he can go d6, and we don't lose our bishop or knight, but after this pawn is going to be super strong. And if you look at his bishop, it's a dark square bishop. All his dark squares are important. So here we have a huge kind of weakness on the dark squares. So even though we didn't lose a piece, there's still some progress to be made here. Now, the other moves that you can make. The next one, and I think the most simple and most straightforward and probably the best move here, is to go c3. Sorry, not rook d8. So first, c3. So the idea here is now he has to take this pawn because we're forking the queen and the rook, defending with tempo. So now he takes this pawn, and now we can take on d5. And the good thing about taking on d5 is we have this immediate threat of taking on f3 and ruining his pawn structure. And now you can kind of see all the important squares are going to be light squares. Like everything over, not there, here and here, are all light squares. And now this bishop is going to be much better. Now if you like chaos, if you are an agent of chaos, a fan of chaos, you can try something like this. This is where it gets really dicey, and this is kind of the downfall, or the thing you have to watch out for when defending with tempo. don't get too deep in the hole. Don't get too deep in debt. Like, we can take here, and for example, if he takes here, now we have this threat of c3. But here, actually, white can kind of at least try to flip the tables, and they can take on f7. Now here, if we go king takes, he has queen d7 check, defending with tempo himself. And now the rook will have time to move away. Actually, even better is rook takes b7 check. Another example. And if we can try king h8, and this is where, okay, I'm not 100% sure what's happening here. Very complicated position, maybe bishop f4. But this is an option. This is where you would have to back it up with very deep calculation. And whenever there's a lot of moving parts, that's when you kind of want to avoid this deep calculation, because it's very easy to miss something. So that's why the most simple move here, in my opinion, is just to go c3, take, and take. So this is defending with tempo, but also some kind of positional background or some positional analysis to go with it. All right, we got 3 examples left, and trust me, these ones are good.
This round as opposed to round 1.
And he's found a hole for that right hand, almost clipped him with the left hand. With C.
Alright, so this is example number 8. So this one is a good one because it looks like white is in trouble. So once again, we have a line of fire. So we have rook, knight, and rook. So now this knight, if it moves away, you're going to lose your rook, and more than that, it's going to be checkmate. Now you can try to sacrifice this knight with check. Knight takes, pawn takes, but even here, you don't have time to capture this pawn because we have this back rank. Actually, you can capture this pawn because the rook protects, but you are down a piece. Maybe not the end of the world. Honestly, this should probably be like pretty easily winning for black. Nothing like too crazy, but yeah, white has some holding chances. But let's get back to this position. How do we defend with tempo? If you want to pause here, now is the time. Okay, so we got to move another piece and attack. We can't move this knight. This rook has nowhere to really go. Now, if we could move this rook somewhere and attack something, then there's no pin. So what we're going to do here is actually look for another piece. We're going to go bishop to f4. So what this does is it attacks the rook. So if he takes the knight like this, we're just going to take the rook and we would be up in exchange. Now, if he tries to defend by going rook here, for example, now we have the opportunity to move this knight because there's no line of fire. The bishop has blocked this line of fire, so we can go knight e5 and just safely escape. So this one, you're not really hitting him or like attacking your opponent, but you're avoiding getting knocked out, which a lot of times is just as important, if not more important. So real quick again, we have this line of fire, bishop f4, hit the rook, rook moves, and now we can move this knight away, and then we are good to go. All right, 2 more examples left.
Just make this guy miss. But look at this. He continues to do so. Floyd Mayweather style.
His head movement and waist movement has been...
Alright, so this one is really subtle, really sneaky, but as you can see from the lack of pawns, the great depression of pawns in white's position, very important. So here the problem is we want to take this knight with this queen. Now if we take here, he's going to take our rook, and then we're just going to be down too many pawns. Now we can move this king and try to survive, but then once again, our king is weak, we're down a bunch of pawns, and black is chilling. So here, what we're going to do is pause the video if you want to solve it yourself. Okay, so we need to find a way to defend with tempo. Got to defend, but we got to attack. Very subtle move, we have f5. So the way f5 works is, one, we're attacking the queen. So let's go with the more reasonable response. Queen takes pawn. Queen takes pawn because he wants to stay attacking our rook. But now we can go king takes knight, and now there's no queen supporting the knight like before. So when the queen moves, we can take this knight. Now let's go back and see if pawn takes. If pawn takes, now what we can do is go queen takes knight because his own pawn got in the way of attacking the rook. Now here we're still down a good amount of pawns, but it's going to be 1,000 times easier, and we're actually going to go ahead and either trade queens or win a pawn right off the bat. And then holding this endgame, or not holding this endgame, but converting this endgame will be a trivial matter. Now lastly, if you're wondering what else can he do, if he moves the knight with check, we take the queen. So that takes care of that. And the queen has no squares to go that hold hold this knight. Queen g3, the rook attacks. Queen g4, pawn. Queen g5, we trade queens, and then we take the knight. And anywhere else he goes, we can just simply go king takes knight, or even queen takes knight, if we so choose to. So another very slick, subtle example of defending with tempo. So whenever things are bad, whenever you're like, dude, I don't know what to do, see if you can defend with tempo. We got one more example, and this one is by far the best one.
I do like what I'm seeing from Tyson Fury now. This is the Tyson Fury of old.
Alright, the last and final example. Don't worry, I saved the best for last. So this is a very complicated position. I actually got this position from a puzzle rush, and I went back and I was like, wow, that puzzle's so cool. I'm going to save this and teach all you guys. Isn't that great? So what's happening here in this position is right now we're in check. So our king is in check, our rook is under attack. His king is weak for sure, but if we just trade off, this endgame is not going to be good for us. I mean, at least not clearly winning or anything. He's going to get behind this pawn, and we've got to play a bunch of moves. Very complicated endgame, very hard to say what happens exactly next here. So that's the first example, if we go queen takes queen. Now, if we block, remember, we don't really have time to block our move because our queen is here. So he could just take our queen, or he could promote, or he could do some kind of just great move for him if we don't do what we're supposed to do. So this is your chance to pause and really try to break down this puzzle and figure out if you can figure it out. So, boom. Alright, so here is what we're going to do. And the great thing about this position is we only have so many moves. So defending with tempo is almost obvious if we can see it. Now it's going to take some outside thinking. So what we're going to do here in this position is go rook to c4, check. Block the rook, block the check with our rook that's completely hanging. He can take it with the king. But then we're going to look and see what happens after. So if he takes this rook, we're going to go queen c3 and boom, it's checkmate. That's just game over. He can't take with the queen because we have the pin. The king has only one other square it can go to, which is d6. Now if the king goes to d6, queen d8 is checkmate. So kind of a miraculous defending with tempo move. We sacrifice a rook for free, but he can't take because his king is walking into an alleyway where there is no escape. So this is the essence of defending with tempo. You are in trouble. They're attacking multiple pieces. They're attacking your pieces. Find a way to defend and attack. Move and attack, and good things will happen.
Why weren't you able to get it going tonight?
¿Por qué no lo pudiste hacer en el día de hoy, Canelo?
No, simplemente no pude agarrarlo. Es un peleador muy elusivo, muy inteligente y no pude agarrarlo simplemente.
Simple, I couldn't catch him. He's very elusive. He's a great fighter, and that's what happened today. I could not catch him.
Is he simply just too good?
Alright, so now you guys know how to defend with tempo. Remember, if they attack you, you gotta move and you gotta attack back. Try to move forward. Give them something to worry about. Give them threats. You can't just sit there and be a punching bag because they will find a way to break through. Like Magnus said, there's no such thing as a fortress. So go use your new defensive skills to act like a professional boxer in chess. Hope you guys were entertained and hope to see you guys later. Peace.
Como te digo, simplemente no pude agarrarlo, no supe cómo agarrarlo.
He did not know how to get him. It's simple as that. He's very intelligent. He's very elusive, and that's what he demonstrated tonight.